We have an update on the Epstein files, the same Epstein files that are causing a civil war within MAGA. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene getting the heat from Trump. She's been receiving death threats and all this crazy stuff going on there, to which she cited that the Epstein files was the reason for their recent fallout. Anyway, the breaking news with the Epstein files from today is Thomas Massie is firing hard at Speaker Johnson. He put out this tweet today stating, "This is how Speaker Johnson plans to protect perverts who went to the rape island from embarrassment. Do not let the Senate add an amendment to avoid disclosing those rich and powerful men who have evaded justice for so many years. Is Johnson calling all victims non-credible?" And he attached this image that shows a board that Speaker Johnson had next to him when he was basically petitioning against the discharge petition that was signed a few days ago to allow the vote on Epstein to happen today. Basically, Speaker Johnson is fighting back against the vote that's going to go through, claiming that there's all these liabilities or these things that they're worried about with this vote going through. So he named a few here. One, victim privacy does not adequately protect victims. Two, innocent persons, and this is the one that Thomas Massie highlighted, risks disclosure of non-credible allegations, creating new victims. So this is the one that Massie highlighted, basically saying that this the second provision here is basically a way to cover up a lot of the people involved with Epstein, with the list, with the emails, etc. Because this one really does give some cover for the people that should be investigated, should be looked at. Basically, what happened was a few days ago, a discharge petition was put in the House, which is basically a motion to put forth a vote by going around leadership, because Speaker Johnson has been a protector of Trump pretty much this whole time. He's been protecting and defending everything that Trump does and says and wants. So Thomas Massie and a few other representatives put forth this discharge petition that allows a vote to go through around leadership, so going around Mike Johnson. So now we're at the point where the vote is happening today, and Speaker Johnson is still fighting it, still trying to stall it. And there are a couple of theories as to why all of this is going down. The first is that the people involved and the people protecting everything are working to redact Trump and redact all the people from the files to protect them and protect their identity from leaking to the public. So they're going through and probably just blacking out as much as possible from the names. That's the first theory, and probably the most viable one, I would say. The second theory is that the DOJ is potentially going to open an investigation into the Epstein files for Democrats only, which is something that Trump was talking about the other day, which is insane. But in them doing that, if they open up an investigation, they can claim that there's an investigation going underway, so everything is sealed and they cannot disclose anything. But here's something interesting that I heard from Jake Tapper, who basically says, like, all of this stuff going through Congress is unnecessary and it's nonsense.
President Trump went on Truth Social on Sunday night and said, quote, "House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide and it's time to move on, et cetera, et cetera." Here's the thing. There doesn't need to be a vote. President Trump is the president of the United States. He can tell the Justice Department right now, right this second, release the Epstein files, redact, take out the names of the survivors and the victims, but release the Epstein files. What this legislation does is just gets the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. This is all just an exercise in theater, because it could be released right now. And yet, because Attorney General Pam Bondi has blocked the release of the files, there was then legislation introduced in Congress by Congressman Tom Massie to have the Justice Department release the files. And then that legislation was blocked by the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, at the behest of President Trump. And so there was a discharge petition, which would force the Speaker to bring this legislation to the floor of the House for a vote. And President Trump lobbied against any Republicans signing the discharge petition, and he attacked the 4 Republicans who did sign the discharge petition. He went after Congress Tom Massie for his personal life, and he started calling Marjorie Taylor Greene Marjorie Traitor Greene. He had his attorney general, his deputy attorney general, and his FBI director try to get Congresswoman Lauren Boebert to remove her name from the discharge petition. They lobbied her in the Situation Room of the White House. All of this to stop the release of the Epstein files. And now, sensing this huge defeat coming, because not only are there 218 votes, as from the discharge petition, other House Republicans are now saying they're probably going to vote to release the Epstein files. Congressman Burchett of Tennessee and Congressman Bacon of Nebraska, and on and on. Sensing this huge, embarrassing defeat coming, President Trump says, oh no, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. We don't know we need to go through any of this. We don't have to have legislation in the House and then it goes to the Senate and then it goes to get President Trump's signature or not. He can do it right now. He is the president. Release the Epstein files. Go ahead and do it. If you really want them done, President Trump can just call Pam Bondi, release the Epstein files. We don't need to do any of this legislation.
So Ken Klippenstein also made a point about this in Substack. This is a snippet from the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It states here, not later than 30 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall, subject to subsection B, make publicly available in a searchable and downloadable format all unclassified records, documents, communications, and investigative materials in the possession of the Department of Justice, including the FBI and the United States Attorney's offices. So basically what he's saying is the word unclassified here is a very important word that was added that could be used also to give cover to protect the people in these files, because they can just keep things classified that they don't want to get out. Jake Tapper mentioned Thomas Massie in that video, and I just want to play this clip from Thomas Massie from this weekend. He was on ABC This Week with John Carl, and he made a very interesting point I want to share with you guys.
The president has gone after you in some deeply personal ways. I mean, attacking you over and over again, even attacking you for regarding your wedding, your recent wedding, which, by the way, congratulations. What do you make of all that? And he's obviously supporting your primary opponents. I mean, what kind of retribution are you facing?
You know, my wife told me, she said, I told you so. We should have invited Donald Trump. He's mad that he didn't get an invitation. So we're taking it with a grain of salt. He's being a bully or trying to be a bully. And they're trying to beat me here in Kentucky. But here's what's interesting. The people financing this campaign consist completely of 3 billionaires, and they're all in the Epstein class. In fact, one of them is named in Epstein's phone book, not the secret files that the FBI is keeping, but in Epstein's phone book. So it's a small world. Dogs don't bark at parked cars.
So what Thomas Massie just said is that they're financing an opposition campaign to his seat in his state, and the people that are funding this opposition happen to be Epstein. He said they're of the Epstein class, and one of them is in Epstein's phone book. So they're literal associates of Epstein that are trying to take down Massie. Now, if that doesn't say volumes about this cover-up and what's going on with Massie fighting and people opposing him, that should be one of the clearest signs. And I just want to remind everybody here who we're talking about, who's basically heading this giant cover-up operation. Here was Trump just a couple of months ago when asked about Epstein at a press briefing.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy.
Let's just say that no innocent person acts and behaves the way that Trump is acting and behaving, including the people that are funding the opposition, all the people involved in this cover-up. No innocent people would be putting up this much of a defense if there was nothing to see there. We're waiting on the vote to happen today. We'll see what comes of that. But again, given the theories that I've laid out for you guys, we'll see if anything comes of that. So don't hold your breath and think like this is the end all be all. This is probably just the next step in an ongoing process that's going to take who knows how long, if ever, we'll actually get everything released. But there's always hope. There's always people fighting for the truth, and got to stay optimistic.
100%. I just want to point out a couple of things as well. When you mentioned possible theories for why it's being held up and whatnot, you mentioned that one of them could be to redact Trump's name or Republican names. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this or if others are aware of this, but a couple months ago, there was a DOJ official who I believe is the acting deputy chief who was caught talking to an undercover reporter. And when she asked him straight up about releasing the Epstein files, he specifically said that he doesn't think they'll come out, and he thinks that if they come out, they will be redacted, and they will cover up Trump's name, and they will cover up Republican names, and they will only go after Democrats. So that was a theory floated months ago, and that's by somebody who's in the DOJ at the top, who has seen the files, who knows these things. So all of that, I think, is definitely very plausible, even though they've been obviously denying it. Another thing, too, is I think Jake Tapper brings up a great point about how this is just theater. If the president wants to release the files, he can. The DOJ is within the executive branch, and that's totally within his authority. So if you look at the MLK file release, the JFK release, even the Amelia Earhart files being released, like, he didn't sit around and wait for a vote from Congress. There was no petition. There was none of this. It's, hey, I want it done, get it done. And he's even come out and said now, I think we should get them out there. But why is he deferring it to these other people when he can just do it himself? So this is very obviously, like Jake Tapper said, political theater at its worst. As we're protecting pedophiles and criminals at the top levels of government and industry, and these are people that we've been told we should aspire to be. And as a society, you want to become a billionaire and be successful, but our elites are against us, and they're working against us,
And the whole world is watching. The whole world is seeing this unfold. A lot of people think the Epstein files is kind of a domestic issue, but it's being played on mainstream media all over the world, and other countries are seeing it. Other people are seeing it. So that they're forming their opinions of America and Americans, knowing that they're protecting pedophiles and the elite controllers of government.
And not only that, but if you look at Prince Andrew, he's already lost, I believe, I think he's been losing assets or something. He's had like his titles stripped and things like that by the royal family. So even people from other countries, that were involved with this, they can be affected as well. This is not just a U.S. thing, especially if you look at the ties that it potentially has to Israel and the Mossad and things like that. I know there's been some theories floating around with that. And Ehud Barak was mentioned in the Epstein files, and he's a former Israeli prime minister. So there's all kinds of potential. Who knows where things will go? The only way we're going to know is if they release them. And that's what they need to do. That's what they promised they would do. And they talked about it for years leading up to this.
Trump campaigned on it. A lot of MAGA supported him for that. And what do they think is going to happen when they do release the files and they're all fully redacted, and it's just like a few names of Democrats that are out in the open, but like the rest of the paragraph is all blacked out? Are people just going to be like, okay, we have the truth now? No, I don't. I think it's only going to cause more question. It's going to create more pressure on them to unredact everything and to release the full files. Because if they just release little snippets, people are already suspicious of like this administration and the cover-up. I think it's only going to fuel more and more speculation. And honestly, I think more and more people are going to start jumping ship like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie have. And that'll be a wild and interesting and fun thing to see as MAGA basically implodes.